Hello everyone. Well, the game is still on, I believe, but very soon it will be off. So I decided to record already now because it's clear it's heading to a draw. There is no way, I believe, it will be any other result here. So yeah, today's game was not extremely entertaining, but still there were some interesting moments. Um, in my opinion, again, I didn't check it with engine yet, so okay, again, Ding plays well, just without opening, so to say, with white. He just play in a position, solid position, and trying to win in a long game or maybe to draw. I don't know, but of course the system is it's completely harmless. And but the most important that I'm not sure it's a great choice because also it is extremely solid for black. And Gukesh is a very solid player with good calculation skills. Well, it seems like the first game and some other games I saw of him, when the position gets a bit unbalanced and complicated, then maybe he can make mistakes like in the game one. So I'm not sure this is a great opening choice, even though okay he managed to get Ding quite playable position at the end of the day. Bishop f1, bishop f5, one of the possible ways to equalize here. Bishop e2, h6. I'm not sure it's so necessary because, yeah, maybe white wants to take the bishop with knight h4, but yeah, I think you can play e6 just to avoid this bishop a3 idea. Knight h4, bishop g6, well, it's no big deal for white. I mean, that he managed to take this bishop, but anyways, h6 is also okay, also fine. Then at least white has this bishop a3 idea, not like it's a big thing, but still, yeah, knight bd7 castles, e6, a logical way of playing, why not e6, takes on f8. So the idea is to change his bishop and to make black lose a couple of tempes, whether he takes with a king, then his king is you cannot castle. Well, of course, more logical is play knight takes f8, but then has to spend a couple of tempes c4. I mean, trying to castle, so to come back on g6. I don't know, there are other ways of playing, like maybe going c6 and then trying to get knight to g6, but the bishop on f5 can be a bit uncomfortable. I mean, let's say knight c3, probably I would first play bishop g4, try to exchange the bishop and then get the knight to g6. Why not? It's probably also quite okay, but Gukesh plays in a simple logical way. Knight d7, knight c3 castle, c takes d5, I guess that's logical, takes b4. Very logical. The position is, well, a little bit more comfortable for white, I would say. In a practical game, yeah, it's a bit easier to play with white, but it's close to equal. I mean, black is of course extremely solid. c6, knight d4, bishop h7. Well, the idea seems more logical to put bishop on g6, but I guess at some point, if white plays f4, then f5 will come with a tempi, so bishop h7 is okay. Here, queen b3 was played. It is, again, I don't know what computer says, probably it would say that it's about equal, but I kind of think that white can try in this position, because the bishop on h7 is, from one point of view, it's quite strong because it controls the diagonal, but also it can get a bit out of play. I would actually prefer to play d3, this plan. Trying to put queen on d2, rook b1, rook c1, something like that, and to limit the bishop. I mean, I think d2 is quite a good square for the queen. Of course, a5 is quite principal, but then probably just a3. And yeah, let's say something like this, queen e7, let's say rook b1. Okay, yeah, you give the line, but for the moment, let's say if takes, but then you put queen on d2. Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's still, well, very little for white, if anything, but a little bit more comfortable, I would say. I like a bit more this plan with d3, but queen b3 is is also okay. Now 95 is a bit strange move to my understanding. I mean, rook e8 or queen e7, I would prefer. It seems more logical to me, because once white will play a4, let's say, I don't know, rook e8. If a4, I suppose I can play a5 always, yeah? Because if b5, c5, and if ba, like knight c5, then take on a5, I would probably play in this fashion, and then because the bishop controls the b1 square, it's difficult to put pressure on the b7 pawn. I don't 95 I don't like, frankly. I mean, again, nothing too bad, but I don't see the point actually of 95, because white can always play a4, and actually I wouldn't mind with white to play a4. I mean, he could have done this immediately. The idea is, of course, yeah, I guess that black would just retreat to d7, and yes, okay, black lost couple of tempies. f4 is, yeah, it's also a little bit weakening, but in some way it can be also interesting, because one day white can play f5. I mean, let's say, probably not here, but this is an important type of position, so white can definitely sharpen the game like this. From one point of view, it of course like blocks this bishop for quite a long time, probably. The drawback of it, that it gives a lot of squares, like e5, e4, you know, it becomes pretty, I would say, double-edged, the position, once white puts pawn on f5. Hard to say. It's really difficult to say. If you want, it's a matter of style even, or of your approach to a game. I mean, this particular game, of course, when one plays, if white plays like this, then the game becomes quite complicated, strategically very complicated and double-edged. But it's an option, I would say. Not sure I would have played it. My feeling is that there are more drawbacks of it than advantages, but who knows, because I can try to play rook f2, even g4, rook f1, so already move somewhere here on the king side. It is risky, but still, like, I don't really see why playing knight f5, why black gave white additional possibility to play like that. But anyways, what happened? a4 was played. What I don't like about Ding's play today is that it was very, I mean, opening choice finally, okay, he managed to get a game, but he played very too straightforward. You know, you cannot really win this position against a strong player in classical chess, just playing very like healthy, logical moves, but without venom. Yeah, it's just like it's almost as if he's playing rapid or blitz. Yeah, it's just very logical moves. Queen b3, a4, a5, but rook c8, especially here. After rook c8, yeah, now I think it was a bit strange decision. So he played a5 here, Ding. But, well, it's pretty clear. Rook c8 doesn't make much sense other than trying to play b6 and c5 next. So, I mean, by the way, if you studied my course about understanding strategy of chess, I mean, that's the way I advise you, every chess player, to think in this way. Is one of the most important, actually more important even than what do you want, is to ask what your opponent wants. So it's to me it's very clearly now situation of the prophylactics. I mean, black doesn't have too much play, so actually only one, of course he's solid, he can just make useful moves, but only one active kind of idea for black is to play b6, c5. So here was a moment to to think maybe what to do about it. Yeah, I mean, I would consider moves like maybe even like rook fc1 or something. It's a bit strange move, even rook fd1. So my idea is just to make, I mean, let's say if he goes b6, then I can play knight f3 and I get at least a better version of the same position which happened in the game. I mean, knight d3 here is possible. I think it's possible because takes, I cannot take, but I'm not sure that this is so good for black, because I can play knight e5, bishop retreats, and then maybe b5, knight gets to c6, or even d4 already, followed by b5 and this c6 square. That is at least playable. I'm not sure it's anything so real, but at least it's playable. So a move like rook fc1, of course black can proceed with healthy moves like rook e8. Yes, that's true, but at least like I would try to take time and to think really, okay, how to defend against b6, c5. I don't see why Dink was so afraid of playing f4. I mean, here, especially after rook c8 is played already, I think it's a very, very interesting option. I mean, almost the only way to kind of sharpen the game and to try really to play for a win. And frankly, I don't see why not, because the point is that now knight c4, of course you take already. And compared to what happened in the game, black doesn't have c5 move, so this is just losing a pawn. So probably black would retreat on d7, and now the point is now you can play different moves, like for instance queen b2, kind of prophylactic move, but even a5, because the problem is after b6 take, now white has b5 move. That's very important, and if c5, knight gets to c6. So in this way, well, let's say f4, a5. Yeah, again, queen e7, black is pretty solid, but at least you stop black from this, I mean, playing b6, c5. I would prefer white. I think it's actually quite pleasant position for white. So that's why I'm not so, yeah, not like sure about what Gukesh was doing with this knight e5, rook c8. Don't think it was the correct plan. Here I would prefer white, and like, okay, white can really play. It's still extremely safe for white, and already becoming kind of complex position. Yeah, not so easy, not like straightforward play. So that was a very, very simple way of playing, and I believe a5 was just too simple. I mean, like, he didn't even, I mean, think it was a time to, I mean, to find some delicate move, some subtle move, and a5 is too straightforward. It just plays b6, and as I understand, because now the point is that if you play f4, then knight c4 comes, as I understand, and already the point is that if you take c5 takes, and the knight retreats and bishop d3. Yeah, that was the reason why I wanted to put my rook somewhere from f1, and of course, let's say queen f4, bishop takes f1, he wins exchange. So you cannot anymore play f4. And here, yeah, because now he played knight f3, Dink, because c5 is a threat, c5, d4. So it's like black position is not extremely active, and like white gave the only, you know, like active option to his opponent. I mean, he could have easily prevented it. Not that it would lead to any real advantage, even though after f4, unless I would really prefer white here. I mean, I would be quite happy actually here, like getting this position with white, even if it's still maybe not that far from equality, but it's very pleasant already for white, because b6 you always meet taking and b5. c5 is dubious because then the d5 pawn becomes weak, and white proceeds with his queen b2, rook c1, maybe at some point trying to get a6. Let's say, what I mean is something of this sort. I mean, not just to show you the idea. Let's say maybe this kind of play black can do, trying to exchange this knight. Maybe one of the possible ideas would be to do something like that, and then, you know, to go to this square, even though I'm not sure here, maybe black is okay, but still bishop f3. You see the game gets sharp, kind of complex, complicated. Not white doesn't have to do it. He can also continue with some normal plan, knight e6, you can like bishop f3, knight e6, knight e2 at some point. Yeah, maybe it's nothing special, but it's a game. Also, maybe here f5 already makes more sense, because black will again lose tempo retreating the knight on d7. I mean, it's perfectly playable for white, because after e5, well, this is now pretty simple. He went knight f3. Yeah, it's very safe and solid, but it's yeah, just like equal take and bishop e4. finally changing the bishop. Still, maybe there was a way here to maybe to play a little bit more kind of aggressive, even though of course it's very equal, but I thought, let's say takes and maybe f3 at least to play. Anyway, white is not really risking anything, but maybe just to continue the game, at least trying to put f3 and pawn on e4. Not that it's much, but maybe still like nominally a little bit comfortable for white, but of course it's a draw basically, yeah. But knight c3 is actually invitation to a draw. It's like a draw offer. Okay, here I don't know if it's already finished the game. No, they still play, but okay, it's just a draw this position. So yeah, a bit disappointing from Ding, because maybe actually now I think maybe the opening choice, as harmless as it is, was not so bad, because finally he got maybe this type of position. Yeah, even if it's solid for Gukesh, it's not like, yeah, I don't think he chose the right plan. He had chosen the right plan. There are many plans like rook e8, for instance, here, the knight f8, knight e6. Yeah, there is no real danger here, but knight e5, rook c8 is really not what I like. And yeah, okay, nothing really bad happened, but was not extremely convincing treatment of this position with Gukesh. And then, yeah, also Ding finally got, I guess, what he wanted, a very safe position where he can still try a bit, you know, very positionary, very quiet, slow, like pressure on the black without risk. Finally, he got it, and then he just spoils it in one move, yeah, with a5, and it's kind of very simple. Even if not a5, black probably wants next to play b6, yeah. So I don't know, yeah, it was a bit disappointing from his side that, well, even if he gets finally comfortable position, he just spoils it in a, yeah, kind of very simple fashion, yeah, like b6, and he didn't even manage to pose slightly problem for black. So for the moment, yeah, I mean, first game was reassuring for Ding, but now it's yeah, the next games are like, yeah, a little bit like with white. He's trying to play without risk and to press, but he doesn't really press, yeah. He offered the draw in the second game when he could still play on. Here also, like, yeah, he allowed like quick liquidation, which was pretty obvious. So, but it's kind of difficult to win World Championship match if you're basically with white, you're not really, yeah, you're trying to avoid any risk, and even when you got something, at least a little bit, you just spoil it very quickly and offer a draw, yeah. Okay, he needs really to change something, I believe. I mean, because with this approach, I don't see how he's going to win. But still, the whole match is all. I mean, it's ahead. So, well, but it's clear that yeah, it's not really the best attitude to win the match. Even though I would say that concerning Gukesh, yes, third game he played well. I mean, it's pretty clear. His strong points, his weak points are pretty clear. But for the moment, his positional play, I mean, in a complex position, even this one is not that complicated, but still like a bit complex. So he starts to be a bit shaky, yeah. Like in the first game was, yeah, he started to go wrong. Here, nothing really bad happened, but in my opinion, his treatment of the position was not perfect. Yeah, but once it gets to direct play, he's very good, very, very good. And after b6, after he was allowed to get the game into the concrete, you know, play, when the play starts to be concrete, he's very good, yeah. So everything is perfect from this moment on. He played very correct, exchanging bishops and so on. So okay, that was it for today. I guess they're going to finish the game soon. F5. This is very strange move, really strange. I mean, like, it's a bit weakening the king. I understand it's still a complete draw, but I would never weaken the king, because anyway, there are no like chances to win this position with black, but you know, in this queen and rook against queen and rook, it's better to get your king safe just in case. Just play g6 and make a draw. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's really playing for a win here. Very, very strange move. No, I mean, again, it's of course it's going to be a draw, I guess, anyway, but he gives a little bit of at least something to his opponent to, you know, to potentially think about without any necessity. Or maybe it's, yeah, again, it's nothing really. h4, probably white would go, trying maybe to put pawn on h5, queen on e2. At least somewhere potentially king can become weak. I mean, I would have never played f5 in my life. Yeah, just why? Because simply why? Why to do it? Okay, anyway, I think it's going to be a draw, so yeah, that was it. I'm going to publish it now, yeah, and let's wait for the next game.